But all right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Increasing Influence with myself and Miles Biggs Ideas. We got a special guest for you today. We got Spencer Powell from Builder Funnel Radio. Let me get it right. We're going to talk exactly about what a funnel is today, thanks to Miles' great interview question. So we're going to hop into that as well. But before we do that, let's kick this off because we are live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook as we speak. If you are not subscribed, please go there and subscribe to us, and also make sure you follow us on LinkedIn. So let me give you a little bit of an intro here. So at davidcooper.live, we are bringing you the people and the processes that are building it better. Our guests and topics include experts in building systems, to building science, building codes, to the tech used to build it better. And today is no different. Miles, I think we should hop into it. What do you think?
Yeah, let's bring Spencer in and unpack funnels in all their glory. It's right up my marketing alley here.
What is happening, Spencer? How you doing?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here, guys.
Yeah. Well, we're glad to have you. So just so everybody understands, Spencer comes from a home building background, remodeling, construction. It's a family business. You've been in it for years. And now you are also in the marketing world, and you're helping builders and contractors and remodelers be better at what they do and get more business. Is that a good way of summing it up?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I was the first generation out of, I think, 4 to not actually be in the building business and kind of came into the marketing side. So, got family that's been doing it for a long time, though.
I love it. All right, so here's where we do our intro of Spencer Powell. So, Spencer, if you don't mind, you have 3 minutes. We want to know everything about you from the moment you were born to this very moment in time. And do not leave out any of the good, gory stuff from the hospital. We want to hear it all, but you only have 3 minutes, so get to it.
Dang. All right, on the spot. Well, I was born in Seattle, grew up there, moved around a couple times, ended up in Colorado Springs when my dad bought a direct mail business out here. I was extremely, extremely shy growing up. So the fact that I'm on one of these, my past self would just be baffled and confused that I would be on a live stream or presenting or any of that. Went to a small liberal arts college, played football when I had never played before. Was a wide receiver, although they tried to stick me on D-line the first week of sports camp. And somebody said, hey, I think this guy can catch. Thank God they said that. So I moved out to wide receiver, had some fun there. Won a few dodgeball championships and intramurals. Got out of school. Kind of didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. So around that time, got into social media and how it was being used for business. This was right during the Great Recession. And that's when I started working with my uncle's business at the time, custom home building and remodeling business. And started to gain a lot of traction there. Kind of took their remodeling division from about 2.5 to 10 million in sales. During this time, I also ate at every single Chipotle in the state of Colorado. So that would be 73 of them. There is a story behind that, but I only have 3 minutes, so I don't know if I can go through that. Fast forward to today, our agency Builder Funnel, we specialize in working with home builders, remodelers, and contractors all over the country. We have a podcast, Builder Funnel Radio, an academy, Builder Funnel Academy, where we teach this stuff to other people so they can continue to grow their businesses. Been married for 7 years, have 2 little guys under 2 right now. So the fact that my eyes are open and I'm here is a good thing because we're not getting a lot of sleep right now.
No,
all right.
Sure.
How am I doing for time?
That was perfect. I mean, great. That's it. That's the end of the show, everybody. Thanks for watching.
All right, that's a wrap. See you guys.
Love it. I think, I want the lowdown on every one of those Chipotles.
Yeah, I'm curious that story too.
Yep. So my family, for whatever reason, like every Sunday for lunch, we're like, hey, let's just go to Chipotle. It kind of became a tradition. But when I was getting the business off the ground, my wife was going to law school at DU up in Denver. And that's where Chipotle started. So there happened to be a bunch of them, but that was like our weekend treat. It was like she was doing homework, I was working on the business. It was just work all the time. We're like, well, let's go to Chipotle. It's cheap. We both like it. That'll be our little break. And then we realized there's like 10 of them within 3 miles of us. So we're like, let's go to a different Chipotle. It'll be really crazy this weekend. And then it just became like this 3-year thing of like, I wonder how many there are. Oh, there's actually 73 in Colorado. And so we just We just did it. We didn't have any pace that we're trying to do it, get it done. And then we took a photo at every single one. We sent it into Chipotle, and they sent us a bunch of these Chipotle coins, which are pretty cool. So
no way.
There you go.
Really?
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
Yep.
You get to eat there for free now?
I wish. I was really hoping to get sponsored or something, but they sent us 50 free burrito cards and the coins. So that seemed good enough.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. All right. So let's hop into this. Miles, kick us off.
Yeah. So we've said this word funnel a few times. I think it's a great place to start. People might be watching, wondering, okay, builder funnel, what is this funnel? What are we doing? So could you describe to everyone what a marketing funnel is?
Yeah. Really, when you break it down, you're just thinking about the way I think about it is somebody's buying journey, and when they start at the top of the funnel, they're kind of in research mode. They're thinking about, hey, I want to remodel my kitchen. What does this look like? What are some design ideas? I hate this about my kitchen. What could it look like? They're just kind of in those infant stages. And then as they work their way down to the bottom of the funnel, that's what most people think of as active leads, right? Somebody reaches out, they want to start a sales conversation. They're kind of ready to move forward with that project, and they're ready to engage with you. Everything else happens above that bottom of the funnel. Most of that happens online today in the middle and the top, where they're just bouncing around on social media and different websites and blogs and watching videos and listening to podcasts, and they're just trying to educate themselves. And so when I think about a funnel, it's just taking somebody through their buyer journey, and you're not necessarily going to force them through the funnel. You're just trying to guide them through your funnel so that when they're ready to start a conversation, they're already aware of you, they know about you, and then boom, now they're in your sales process.
So what does that mean? All right. So here I'm a consumer. I'm reaching out to you as a builder. The builder then collects that email information or what have you, and then puts them into a marketing campaign.
Yeah, exactly. The most common way to nurture somebody that's maybe not ready to buy is typically email. But let's just use a really specific example. Let's say kitchen remodeling. Somebody they Google the latest design trends, and they land on your blog post, and they're reading the blog, and they're like, great, these are awesome ideas. Well, if the only opportunity for them is to reach out and book a meeting, they may not be at that stage. So they just have to leave because they're not ready for that step. But if you have something like a home design guide or a remodeling checklist, or if you're a custom builder, a custom home design guide, or something where they can fill out a form to download some extra info, now you've got them, right? They're in your funnel. And now you can send them regular email to stay in touch with them and, work to build some authority and build your brand so that 6 months down the road, when they're ready to move forward with the project, you've been there every step of the way. You're top of mind.
Sure. I love it. I see the it's already starting to light up in the comments. Zach Scriven. Hey, man, we talked a while ago. Do you know Jack Scriven?
I don't know.
I think we're still a third connection. Maybe you didn't accept my connection, Zach. What's up, man? Anyhow, Zach's going in here. He's saying hi. He's in Arizona. Dave, let's see. He says he wants Chipotle now.
Oh, man, me too. Let's DoorDash.
and he also says, what technology stack do you use for your funnel builds?
Yeah, great question. We use HubSpot. We're a big proponent of their software. And that we found it connects a lot of these tools you end up wanting to have when you go to construct different funnels, and you need an email tool, you want a blogging tool, you want a landing page tool, you want a call to action tool. There's all these different things. And so we found that HubSpot kind of pulls those all together, and all the data is together. You don't have to get 6 different tools to get connected and talk to each other. But there's a number of other ones out there: Infusionsoft, ClickFunnels, Marketo. But yeah, we're big fans of HubSpot.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we're going to jump into some more, but I don't want to let a couple people go here. Let's just say hi. We got Joel Hutchins. Good morning from sunny Sydney, Australia. What is happening, Joel? Joel's with Splash Modular in Revaya. They're doing some really cool stuff with their software and their parametric design capabilities. Also, we got George Ryman from Phoenix, Arizona. Good morning, George. Shorefoot Foundations. Always a pleasure when George joins us as well. All right, as we move, have got some more popping in. Good morning, good evening from Aberdeen, Great Britain, UK in the house. Love it.
Nice.
Love it. And then one more from Zach, and then we're going to jump into some of this stuff. Awesome. Do you also focus on paid ads?
We do a little bit with paid, but our focus here has been primarily organic, SEO content based. But absolutely, we play in the paid space. It's just not our default and our go-to.
Right. So I think builder funnels. I've used Infusionsoft. We used it in our businesses, still using it in our businesses. And setting up campaigns can feel super overwhelming to a builder. Me being one of them, right? It's a lot. And it's a lot to understand how the campaigns work based on different stages in this funnel. Talk to us a little bit about what you guys do to ease that pain, because I know for me it was I was like, I felt like my head was going to explode.
Yeah,
I build houses. I don't build funnels.
The marketing landscape just gets busier and busier and noisier and noisier. So it makes sense. You kind of have to be in it all the time if you really want to have your finger on the pulse. I would say there's a couple things. Like, one is getting your foundation right, just like building a house. Like, you want to make sure you've got that correct. And so that's, to me, a combination of website plus technology. And making sure you've got a strong website, you've got a system that allows you to make changes, even if you're going to lean on an agency or a freelancer or somebody else. But you should have total control of that. You want to be able to control your SEO, your content, all those kind of components. And then you have to have the tech. And that's kind of back to your question with campaigns, is the tech can help you set up some of those campaigns. I think one of the easiest ways to get started is think about your top of the funnel lead conversion, component. Some people call it a lead magnet, but that's going to be your guide, your checklist, your ebook, something where somebody can fill out a form in exchange for additional information. Without that, you can go and drive a bunch of traffic. You can drive a bunch of paid ads. You can get ranked in Google, and you'll get a bunch of traffic, but your conversion rate won't go up. Your leads might go up because you have more traffic, but your conversion rate will pretty much stay the same because you're only capturing bottom of the funnel leads, which are people that are ready to reach out. So I think the first step in building your campaign is get that top of the funnel lead conversion piece built, which means you need a PDF, could be 2 to 10 pages. It doesn't need to be super fancy, but it's got extra value for somebody that visits. And then you've got a landing page. So that's going to be the page where it says, hey, if you fill out this form, you get this guide or this ebook. And then you need what we call a call to action. And it could just be a text link. I think it's better to have a graphical call to action. And that's the button that you see on your services page or your About Us page. It says, click here to download this guide. And that will take you to the landing page. That's where they'll fill out the form. If you just do that, you'll see your conversion rate go up because you'll start capturing people that didn't have an option before because they weren't ready to reach out and have an actual call.
Yeah, for sure. Miles, you're doing this a long time, and you work with a lot of builders at Mojo Active as well. Yeah. Both of you really. A lot of builders they don't focus on this for whatever reason. And to me, it just doesn't make sense. Heck, social media is changing our democracy. They're pulling these people into into Congress to have, whatever political conversations they're having. It's a big deal. And it definitely, all of this falls in line with these builder funnels and how do you capture information? How do you use that information? So, I'd like to hear, both of you for that matter, what your thoughts are on this and why we do not see more builders using this to their advantage.
What I've seen is just a little bit what you admitted to, Dave. The fact that you admitted it, right? Like, you don't understand it or you don't even want to focus on it. I think a lot of people are afraid of the unknown, and they also don't want to admit that they need help or that they don't know it, right? You think about your stereotypical home builder. We're talking about he's a strong guy or a strong gal, right? They're working their hands all day. They know what they're doing, and they're not going to be told no, or they'll,
Right.
So for them to, say, hey, I need help and I don't understand it, but I'm willing to learn, is big, because I think part of them not understanding it, then it's hard for them to justify what they see as just a straight line expense versus an investment in future sales. And what that payoff period is in between. Sometimes it's hard for people to wrap their brains around it, that they're going to download this guide and you might not hear from them for a year, but that doesn't mean they're not interacting with you and learning from you and consuming your stuff, so that by the time they come back in a year, they're ready to go. And not only ready to go, they know exactly what they want because of all the content they've been consuming. So it is just a knowledge gap. I think it's a comfort level thing. It's knowing what you're talking about, and then knowing enough to know what you don't know, and then seeking out, somebody like Spencer who does, and getting them to help you and bringing them onto your team.
Well, Miles, I'm glad you mentioned that time frame, because I have a classic example I like to use from my own experience. We had a custom builder. He attended a webinar. We talked. He went on our email list. It wasn't a good fit. 6 years went by, and then he signed up, and he's been super happy. Like, we've been partners for a while now. But to your point, people aren't always ready, and I think when you think about building out these campaigns and capturing people top of the funnel, it's not that instant gratification, because it's like, oh, I'm going to just capture a bunch of people that aren't ready to buy today. Why do I want to do that? But little do you know, 6 months, 12 months, all of a sudden, bang, your bottom of the funnel is a lot bigger, because you've actually been staying in touch with, building a relationship and building trust with those people. So right. I think you hit the nail on the head there.
Would you agree, as a builder, and this is something that we always taught our, people that we work with in our business, is that, we're a destination business. People that want to build or remodel, they're not looking to follow you forever and a day. They want what they want when they want it, and they're going to come seek you out when they want it. And that's typically what you're saying, is in the beginning, they seek you out. But here, what you're also trying to do is not get eliminated. So by having this builder funnel, you stay in front of them, top of mind. So when they finally make that financial decision to say, all right, now we're in a place to move forward, if I'm in their inbox every week, they remember, coming to Dave Cooper versus, Joe the builder down the road. Is that the concept here?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think a lot of marketing is just consistency, and staying in front. And so, if somebody is going to make a purchase a year from now, they're going to buy from somebody. And if you've got 24 or 30 touches with them in terms of sending them an email, and they see a video, they see a blog, hopefully they've seen your face, right? Or they've seen a salesperson's face. And by the time they get into that sales conversation, they're probably going to talk to 2 or 3 companies. Like, we'd all like it if they didn't, but they will.
Right.
But now you're way ahead of the game, right? Because they already feel like they know you, even though you're meeting them for the first time. They've been able to watch and sit there and basically stalk you for 6 months or a year on social media and videos and your blog and all that good stuff. And so they're more comfortable with you, and that's super powerful.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we were talking a little bit about that, off the show prior to coming on, but you're absolutely right. You build relationships with people on their time. When they have time to consume your information, when they're ready to consume your information, you're there where others are not. And I think that's the big deal, because everybody's researching online. Nobody just drives around to model homes anymore, I don't think.
Yeah, I think a lot less, especially these days. Yeah. People prefer to be in their bed and just looking on their iPad. So.
Can you talk to some of the automation behind funnels? I think that's some of where the power lies. You can send an email whenever you want, right? But part of what makes funnels so effective is how they work for you instead of you having to work them, right? So can you explain that to people?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think, we've kind of taken 2 approaches when it comes to the nurturing. And so the automation piece is really powerful. Say somebody comes in, they download a custom home guide, like they downloaded this versus, say you do custom homes and remodeling. So they download your custom home guide. Well, now I know their area of interest. So I can start to drip out content to them that's tied back to their original area of interest. And so you could say, hey, 3 days later, send this blog post on the building process. And then, a week after that, send them some different floor plans and layouts, or, a week after that, send them to your portfolio page, or, and you can just drip out education because what you're trying to do is build that trusted advisor status. So I think that's a big power of automation. You can do a lot of testing around like how often should you send, but I think the big thing is just customizing that experience for that person. So if they download or take a certain action, you can trigger another set of actions based on that interest. But I think too, even just for people where that sounds really fancy and maybe that's a little bit, I don't know, it just sounds like too much. Even if you just have a regular, like twice a month, you do a newsletter and some other type of email and it's just going to everybody. That is better than nothing. And then I would say move to, like Miles, what you're saying, automation is where you want to get to. But if it feels intimidating, just having something that's regular will put you ahead of most people these days still.
Yeah, totally. What I like about the automations is if you do that two email a month thing you talked about, right? Say you send the email out on a Monday and you get a new email subscriber on a Tuesday, they've missed that content, right? And you'd have to go back and send that out to everybody again to hit that new person. It's like each person becomes their own list in a way. And that email you created or the blog post that was new a year ago is now brand new to that person, and you can extend the life of your content and your efforts way more than just having to sit there and go, what do I email about this month? And I think that's why a lot of people stop, is they run out of ideas. And so they don't send anything, and then they lose the consistency, which you spoke to as being very powerful.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I think, being able to design the path of that content, you can give everyone the same experience coming in to your point. Like they won't miss the content because you're saying, hey, everyone's going to get these 5 emails because we want to educate them on how it really works or what it costs or whatever it is, in your type of business.
Right.
Sure. So, all right. So you have these campaigns built. Doesn't matter if I come in on Monday or if I come in on a Wednesday, that's already there. And I can just almost forget about it and let it run until it's time to create that new 12-month campaign or whatever it is you put in place. Is that typically how it's working?
Yeah, you can take a couple approaches. I find that like pre-designing a set of emails, whether it's 5, 10, 15 emails, and just having that kind of come to an end can be advantageous from the fact that you're saying, hey, if they do this action, I want them to get these 10 pieces of content in this time frame. And then they're also going to just get my current regular stuff. So they're kind of getting that customized path, but then they're going into that long-term, just always current. If you take the approach of like, hey, I'm going to build this 12-month calendar, like somebody's always going to get to the end of that. So you're either having to just keep tacking on to it forever and ever and ever, which is fine. I think that you can be more effective with just designing very specific, a little bit shorter paths, and then they drop into your kind of evergreen, like consistent approach. But I don't know, Miles, you might feel differently on that one. I'm not sure.
No, I think what you're saying makes. I'll use myself as an example, right? I'm working on finalizing a new funnel for the book I just wrote, right? So in the book, I'm trying to drive people to a mastermind community to sign up for, an add-on. The book's $14.99. The mastermind community is a few $1,000s. So if they bought the book, they like the idea, I'm trying to get them to the bigger buy, right? So that's what we're talking about with areas of the funnel and barriers to entry and all that good stuff. But so I'm working on it now where it's what you said. I'm trying to say, hey, you bought the book. Hey, you signed up for this extra. Here's 10 emails. And it's sales at the end of the day, right? We call it a funnel, but I'm trying to sell them something. I know if I try to sell them something every week for a year, I'm going to piss somebody off. So it's a finite amount where it's, here's all the reasons. Here's another one. Here's another one. Here's your last chance. You're not going to hear from me again. Why haven't you bought yet? All those kind of things we see in our email. And then I can just drop them into an update I have or things like that. But you want to try to get them while they're hot, while they're obviously have shown some interest to convert again, and then you can drip. So I agree with that technique. I think it's popular because it works.
Yeah. It's, hey, you're interested. Let's push you along. Let's give you some content, add some value. But then, hey, we're going to say book a meeting or try and do this. And then if they don't, then great. You kind of go into the background like, okay, we'll ease off a little bit and we'll just keep adding some value. And then later, we'll make another push. So Yeah, I like it.
So if they don't engage, then you just drop back on the campaign on what campaign they were in, or maybe it becomes a quarterly email for a while and then you pick back up if they engage in that. Is that how that works?
Yeah, I think it depends on your goals. For us, we would back it off to our regular program is usually at least once a week email, but it's value driven. So it's, hey, here's this helpful piece of content. Here's this video. Here's something that could help you. And then when we push like a sale or we push something like, hey, book meetings, sign up for our academy, do something where it's more sales driven. That's usually shorter time frame, very clear push, heavier push, but then we back off and it's like adding value 80-90% of the time and then hard selling, the rest of the time.
Yeah, for sure. So this gets into this education marketing. Is that kind of what you're saying as far as adding the value?
You got it. Yeah. I mean, really, if you look at the internet, and anything that you go to the internet when you want an answer to something or trying to learn something, and that's all education. And it could just be, hey, when was this president born, or some random fact, that's education, but you land on somebody's website. And then when you're researching products and services, you want to get educated about that as a consumer, because we have that ability today, we want to take the control. And so when I go into a conversation with a salesperson, I want to be armed with all the information. It used to be reversed, so you'd go into a Best Buy or something like that, and you'd have to talk to a salesperson. And they'd tell you, hey, these are the 4 models, these are the prices, these are the specs. Here's why I think you should do this one. Today, you don't do that. You get all the information and you go to that salesperson at the last piece of it, but you want to be confident. And so the idea is, with education marketing, all we're doing is we're matching our marketing process to the reality of the way people shop and buy. Right. And I like this, thinking about it on a spectrum, which is, it used to be that you do a little bit of research and then you talk to a salesperson and then you go the rest of the way with them. Today it's reversed. You do all the research, and then at the very end, you're like, okay, I finally have to talk to somebody, and they'll take me the last step. So we need to give people the information, because that means they're on our site instead of our competitor's site.
Perfect. All right, let's do a couple comments real quick. What do you think? It's loading up.
Yeah, I'm seeing them. I'm watching them load. There's a lot.
Zach's all over the place today with this stuff. Zach says, I'm not buying a 1 million plus custom home soon, but when I do, he's top of mind from his LinkedIn content. Perfect. I love it. All right, moving on. Jennifer says, Spencer, so psyched to have you on. Been a fan of the Builder Funnel podcast for a while.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Charles Warfield, what are the best tools to manage this type of newsletter automation?
Charles, great question. Man, there's a million tools out there. So I'll lean on our favorite, which is HubSpot. They have an email tool in there. Infusionsoft, if you're looking for the automation piece, is going to be a lower price point. There's other tools that are pretty inexpensive if you're just looking for the email function. Drip, MailChimp has a component that you can upgrade and do that. So a lot of it depends on collective goals and what you're looking for and price point. If you want the automation with HubSpot, you do have to jump up to, I think, like $800 a month. So you get a lot of other stuff with that. But if you're just looking for the email piece, I'd say like MailChimp, Drip, Infusionsoft, those types of tools are going to be a little more cost effective.
Awesome.
Miles,
Thanks.
do you have any top recommendations on that?
Well, it's like you said, I feel like any email marketing provider has it, right? So I know Constant Contact has a service. There's one called Get Response I've used, Active Campaign. If you Google email automation, you'll find a bunch. And
scary thing to do is Google
functionality, and do you need more than email, or you just need to get started and price is a factor? You can find something that'll fit what you need to do.
Yeah.
So one of the things when implementing these processes back in my builder day, again, I have a lot of experience in this. Starting with the end in mind as well, knowing the bigger picture, right? Because you can jump into something, build this whole thing out, and it doesn't get you to where you want to go if you're looking to take a client through a full life cycle of the build, right? Because I know Infusionsoft, for instance, that is something that you can customize super in depth all the way through, from the beginning of the sales cycle and the funnel all the way through to closing out the job. But again, it takes a lot of work tweaking some of these, because it doesn't seem like anybody's really built the perfect solution for, all right, I'll say an offsite. I know in regular building, people have built solutions, right, that are out there. Builder Trend, you got some of these other people that are out there playing in this space. But what do you recommend on that? I understand jump into HubSpot or jump into Infusionsoft, but it's also good to really have a good idea where you want it to go long term, no?
Absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned that, because anytime we're talking a lot about tactics, but those are just tactics without the strategy. And so, whenever we have a conversation with somebody, it's, hey, what are you trying to do in your business? Are you trying to grow? By how much? Okay, if you're trying to go from 5 million to 8 million, what does that mean for number of projects? What does that mean for number of leads? And then when you get down to some of those granular details, you can go, okay, you need, 300 more leads this year. how are we going to get those leads? Okay, maybe it's digital. Okay, so how much do we need to grow our traffic? How much do we need to increase our conversion rate? Now we're getting down to some specific numbers, and then those will flow into the tactics of, oh, we're going to do 4 blogs a month, 2 videos, X emails, this automation. Those are just the things that happen, but it's based on, the strategic goals. So I think a lot of times it comes back to lead gen and growth goals. And then I think the advanced move is thinking about like customer delight and automation that you can do after you've closed a deal. But I would say most people are working on just how do I get more brand awareness? How do I get more leads? How do I build that pipeline?
Yeah, because the work really begins after you close the deal, in my opinion.
Work. Yeah.
I mean, that's a whole nother funnel that you can build, campaign wise with your clientele. So you don't have to answer the same questions 500 times going through, which then leads to more referrals.
And I find a lot of that content applies pre-sale too, because people have those same questions and they want to know them earlier and earlier. So you can multi-purpose that content if you start to build it out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Sure.
So much of it goes back to knowing who are you trying to sell to and what's important to them. And then what do you need what's the knowledge gap you need to fill with the education? Because you can build a great funnel, but if you're saying the wrong thing to the wrong person, it's not going to do you any good. So
yeah.
Definitely planning is important.
So Spencer, talk to us a little bit about Builder Funnel Radio. Let's talk about the podcast. What is the goal with the podcast? And tell us, the type of people you interview or not interview, or, is it just, I'm Spencer Powell, the expert in builder marketing, and you need to hire me?
Yeah, it's kind of a mesh of a lot of different things. We started it really because we had been blogging for years, and we realized probably a lot of builders, remodelers, construction guys, they're on the road a lot. Maybe they don't really want to get this education through blogs. So let's do an audio version so they can get this info while they're driving in between job sites and stuff like that. So that's how it started. We thought it was just going to be us talking about marketing stuff. We got 2 episodes in. We said, this is going to be really boring, so we better pull in some other people. So we started pulling in different experts. We try to stick in the sales and marketing world, but we end up talking about everything, culture and finance. And, it's really about growth. It's a growth-oriented podcast. And then you end up touching every area of the business because they all work together. So every Tuesday we do a show. Every other week on Tuesday, we bring in an expert, a coach, consultant, somebody that's seen a lot of success that we can pick their brain. And then every other week I do a solo session on a topic, usually marketing related. Fridays, we do a family business oriented show because so many construction businesses are family oriented. So my dad, my uncle, and I talk about all the different family dynamics in construction businesses. And then we do some mini series periodically where we'll pull in an expert and do 4 or 10 episodes in a row and do a deep dive on a topic. But yeah, the goal is just, hey, continue to do what we're already doing, which is just try to educate and put really good content out there, but do it in audio format, and then started recording the video and putting that out there too.
I couldn't imagine doing a podcast or even a video with my dad and my uncle. I mean, I'm just going to say right flat out, it'd be a shit show. If I can say that on live LinkedIn, that's what it would end up being right there.
Yeah, we go down some rabbit trails from time to time, but that's family, right? So yeah.
I love it. Miles, I mean, this is something that's, right up your alley because you just did it. You wrote a book. Spencer, why don't you tell us a little bit about this book you're writing?
Yeah, thanks. We've just been doing this for a long time now, 10 years earlier this year. And we just said, hey, let's convert this kind of into what we've learned. Let's distill it into a book. And so the Remodeler Marketing Blueprint will launch in January of 2021. Yeah. And it basically walks through the process that we use here at Builder Funnel, which is, hey, you got to drive more traffic. Once you get more traffic, you got to convert more leads. Some leads are ready to buy now. Most aren't. Now we got to nurture those leads that aren't and build that funnel out. So, yeah.
You know what? I'm just looking at some of the people that are in the show here. Elizabeth Dotson is tuning in today from HomeZada. That's somebody you should talk to for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, she's doing some amazing stuff. Do you know HomeZada?
I don't. We'll have to get connected.
They have a whole end-to-end app where people can manage their house, or from all the paperwork to service requests all the way through to include your jewelry and everything else, and it's making a lot of waves. It's really a cool.
Dang, that's cool. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it is super cool, super cool, super cool. So definitely want to check out with Elizabeth Dotson. So if you guys are here, you two connect. I think it'd be fun. I think you'd be a good guest on Spencer's podcast as well. All right. So here I am. I'm a client. I don't know what the heck I'm doing, but I'm really good at building stuff. Spencer, tell me about the services you guys offer and how we would get started.
Yeah. So basically, we come in and act as the extension of your team. So we really want to come in and say, hey, you want to grow? We're the marketing team that can help you do that. And we understand that you want to understand this at a high level, but you don't want to get into all the nitty gritty details of the campaigns and SEO and all this fun stuff. So we basically build all this stuff out. So we work on traffic growth, so blogging, SEO, social. We work on lead conversion. So that's going to be things like that top of the funnel. Like we create those guides, the ebooks, the resources that people are going to fill out a form and get. And then we do all the email campaigns, the nurturing. And we're big on analytics, which is, again, mentioned HubSpot several times. That's our default software, but they allow us to track customers back to their original source. So whether that's organic, paid, social, house, wherever they came from. And then that's what allows you to improve your system over time, is you've actually tracked and measured it to the customer level. And that's where it gets pretty exciting.
Yeah, I would imagine so, right? Because then you can say, hey, if most of your business is coming from house, well, make sure you
just
start
do more house.
Time on house, right?
Yeah. And sometimes we overthink this marketing stuff. I always ask, like, what are you doing for marketing? And if somebody is talking to us, they probably are interested in working with us. But I always say, can you just do more of what you're doing now? Will that work? And sometimes, a lot of times the answer is no, like, oh, I can only do this many trade shows, or, word of mouth is unpredictable. But if you have a channel that's working, can you just do more of that channel? And if so, like, that's probably your fastest path to success. And then explore new channels after that.
Yeah, for sure.
And unfortunately, most people couldn't even tell you which channel is working. Going back
That's
to
a good point, Miles.
They're doing 50 different channels and they're wondering why it's not working, and they can't even tell you what is. So it's twofold, right? Can you do more of what's working? Do you know what's working?
Maybe, yeah.
Not working, right?
Yep.
Not our audience.
Excellent point.
They understand all of this.
No, they're sharp. They've got everything tracked. Yeah.
They do. All right. Speaking of tracking, let's talk about geotagging. This is a hot topic, right? I don't know, Miles, if you guys are doing it, or Spencer, you're doing it, but I know when we were doing this heavily, we would do geotag marketing. So if you went into my competitor's office, guess who pops up on your social media account as soon as you walk in and come out? This guy, right? So is that still a big thing?
Could be. We're not involved heavily with it. We would do more on the retargeting side, where if somebody hits your site, then you're going to kind of nurture them by, staying in front of them with ads, right. Kind of an alternative to email if you didn't capture their email. But I don't know, Miles, maybe you're doing more with that. We're not doing really anything.
Yeah, I do.
There.
I do some with this. It's kind of like guerrilla warfare, to your point, Dave, right? They're going to your competitor, and now you're going to hit them with an ad. So it's a little bit like bidding on your competitor's name in paid search, where if they're looking for a Patagonia jacket, the chances that they're going to buy your jacket instead is slim. They know what they want, right? So it's good for an awareness and very, very top of funnel to let people know you exist too. It's definitely more of an impression-based metric than it is anything related to conversions. But if it can get them to the site, then it can feed into future remarketing stuff like Spencer was talking about. Once they're on your site, you can now follow them elsewhere. Yeah. But it is interesting. You can get down to the software that we use, down to like a 10-meter radius of a GPS location. So not so even just competitors, office, but Dave, if you're an offsite, factory, right? If you want to target not the office where the accounting people are, but you want to go into the middle of their production line as the house is moving down the floor and get those guys their phones, you can target just that area. Right. So it is very interesting how precise it can be for where you target. And it is just another, tool in the tool belt to get in front of people. Yeah.
There's got to be some good use cases there somewhere,
I mean, we found it to be super successful for us because, again, in home building, when people are looking to make the biggest purchase of their life and they're trying to find the contractor that isn't going to take them to the bank, they're trying to find the honest contractor, right? They all hear the horror stories that are out there and they don't know about you. And all of a sudden, oh, who is this person? Dave Cooper Holmes shows up. right? I think it's just one more of those things because now you're unlike a jacket, right? You're right. I already know that I want a Patagonia versus North Face, whatever the case is. But in home building, you really don't know, unless you've just been following a builder for a long time, and then or it's a referral. I think that's kind of the difference.
Yeah, again, it can be. We've seen it work pretty well for recruitment campaigns.
Yeah,
people are looking to hire people. So I want the guy. I know that some of my best employees shop at this store. This is where they go to hang out for fun. These are the schools I want to target for college students. You can target those specific areas.
Right.
So it's worked for some of our clients in that way.
Yeah, and Dave, I think you hit on something interesting there too, which is, the idea of like Patagonia versus North Face. Those are brands that people know. So if they are already Googling that, they probably already know. But if they are on, in the home building space, they probably don't necessarily know. But that's where nurturing is super powerful, because if somebody has seen you for 6 or 12 months,
right,
they actually might be more inclined to purchase from your brand at that point. But in the early stages, they don't have any ties to anybody because there's no kind of Nike type brands in this space. It doesn't feel like you're like, oh yeah, I've got to buy home. I got to buy X, it's just not that way.
Well, it's not, and a lot of people don't realize, 1 out of every 3 people on the internet is going to YouTube. And this is part of one of my, things that the speeches that I give out at the IBS show every year, because I talk about this specifically. And that is, we were talking about prior to the show. I just started doing videos and selfies, walking through our own homes, sometimes live, sometimes not, talking about our product and what makes it so good. Unedited, unfiltered. This is just what it is. And after doing that week after week after week for months and months and months, it took about 6 months. That's when I was telling you, people start walking in the door saying, hey, you're that guy on social media. My wife loved this, and this. We watched all your shows. In fact, I'm tired of seeing you already. And you're just standing there like, I have no idea who you are. But this is the power of it. They get to know you on their time. And if you're not in their inbox, if you're not on their YouTube feed while they're looking for you, you're going to lose to the person that is there. And that's kind of what I'm hearing you say. Regardless of what platform you use, blogs, podcasts, social media, video, you need to be there, especially in today's day and age where everybody's on social media.
Yeah, you got it. I mean, most businesses just don't have enough attention, and this is a great way to get more attention. And it's a really fun thing when somebody's like, you get on that first meeting, or like you said, and they walk in and they're like, hey, I feel like I know you already, or, oh, you're that famous YouTube guy. And you're like, famous? No, but perfect. I like that you think I'm famous, because now we're going to close this deal a lot faster, smoother, easier, just a better experience.
Yeah. Imagine, like I said to everybody out there, if you can go from the first sales meeting to the third sales meeting on the first meeting, because that's really what this stuff does, if it's done correctly. And like you said, Miles, it's not a used car sales pitch. It is. Yeah. Here's an educational approach. You're interested in building. I think that everybody knows what I know, but that's just not the case. The simplest stuff is what people want to know and understand. And
you can go from a sales meeting to a buying meeting, right? Where you don't have to sell them anything. They're there because they're already sold. They want to buy.
That's right.
That's the best case scenario.
Yeah, marketing can do a lot of the sales lifting today. It really can.
Yeah. I mean, imagine if you marketed your house like Apple computers. Right, just market your company like, make it to where they, people want it, because you are building it better, building it, you have better craftsmanship, or you have beautiful homes, or better designs, or, you get a 5-star review every time you do a job. Like, these are all powerful things to market when people are looking at this, because they spend more money on a remodel or a new home than they spend with their financial planner.
Sad but true.
Maybe. It is true though, right? Yeah. I know it. So Spencer, what have we not touched on that's super important for everybody to know about Builder Funnel?
It's a good question. We've hit on most things. I would say, our approach is just very much growth minded and always learning. This space is always changing. We try to be our own best case study. I think that's something that makes us pretty unique. I think a lot of marketing coaches or consultants like to teach from a stage, and we try to teach from the trenches, and just share what's working and what's not. And we have a lot of misses and a lot of failures, and but then that's how you hit some home runs and some winners too. So we try to just share what other people can use, and we know that people either, one, use it and hopefully get some value out of it, or two, they'll want to reach out and connect with us. And I think that's the beauty of education marketing.
Yeah, for sure. Miles, you got so I can see you're ready to say something. Go.
No, I mean, I just love what he said about how you guys want to be that case study. A lot of agencies, when you look at agency marketing, they don't really market themselves. They're selling social media services, but they have no social media presence, right? They're so busy with client work, they're not doing it for themselves. But I think it's a great point. You're doing the experimenting on yourself so that you can go to a client and say, we know this works because we did it, and we know this is not going to work because we also did it. And I just think that's great, because you don't see that a whole lot in the agency space.
Absolutely. Hey, look, we got some more comments coming in before we end here. Zena Ryder, and luckily for construction-related businesses, the space isn't yet saturated with content. So now is the time to start educating content marketing if you haven't already.
100%. Right? Yep.
100%. Listen. Yeah. All right. I'm not going to put my soapbox.
Yeah, get on the soapbox.
9% of small businesses, well, this is old now, last year and a half ago, are using YouTube to their advantage. 9%. Now, you have 1 out of every 3 people on the internet frequenting YouTube daily, for the most part. What's the matter with small business? So I mean, that's why I think we did what we did, right? When we started going to YouTube and just talking about it. So I agree with you, Zena. I hope I'm saying that right. The space is not saturated. So this is the time you have the chance to put your stake in the ground and own it. And I think if we can tell more people to do it, just not even on this, but social media in general, it's a big deal.
Totally agree. Yeah.
Evan Berger, love what you said, Dave. Not a used car sale. It's an education, and we assume the marketing knows what we know. Yeah, and I think that's a really good point. And that's kind of where, Spencer, you guys come in, right? You already do this with hundreds and hundreds of clients that are within your process that you're working with. So you're not recreating the wheel when you work with somebody like yourself. And I think you take it and you say, as a builder, I'm so overwhelmed with this. And you go, well, you don't need to be, because here's a template that's worked for others. Let's just tweak it so it says the things that you say the way you say it. And I think that's where you guys become very, very powerful as an extension of somebody else's team.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the reasons we focused. Is one, we had to stay in a vertical because otherwise we're just going to be some generic company. But two, you get some advantages like that. It's like, oh, this is working in Atlanta. It's probably going to work in Seattle. It's probably going to work in San Fran. It's probably going to work in Denver. And so you get that collective shared knowledge for everybody, that you're working on stuff for.
Yeah, I love it. All right. So I guess I got Zena's name right. That's right. She says, so, and I'm just looking, Zena, she's a freelance construction and robotics writer. There you go. That's right about Spencer's house. I love it. Contech, prop tech, robots, content marketing, professional tea drinker. I love it. Zena, thank you so much for tuning in today. And thanks for the comments. We really do appreciate it. All right, Spencer, I told you this would be the quickest 45, 50 minutes. We're already at 52 minutes.
Flew by, man.
It's a lot of fun. Jack Scriven, you get the award for the most comments in a show yet. I love
he's blowing it up over here. Yeah.
He really had a ball today. So I hope you enjoyed it, Zach. I know you're in the same marketing realm. But it's always good to have everybody else's opinions, driving along here and having these conversations. So Spencer, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, thanks guys. This was a blast. Happy to be here.
Yeah. And Miles, Big's idea. Listen, let me grab it. If you don't have it, you got to go out and get it. Unseen work.
Boom. Double promo shot.
I love it. I'm not even getting paid to say that. I just like Miles. I love it.
You got to work out a deal there. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to be his book manager once it meets the top 10 on
there you go. I'll take it.
Novo, Amazon, New York Times, whatever the case is. All right, everybody, join us tomorrow at 1 p.m. We are designing the most sustainable buildings and places with architect Doug Farr. So if you're into building science, passive house design, this is going to be the place to be at 1 p.m. It is going to be a great show. And as always, at Dave Cooper Live, we are bringing you the people and the processes that are building it better. So thank you so much for tuning in today. Miles, Biggs idea. Love you, brother. Always great to have you. And Spencer, I feel like we have a new friend. I'm happy to have you on. This was great.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
All right. You guys hang tight. We'll come right back to you. I'm Dave Cooper. We'll see you next time.